Hello, hello. Good morning. Well, welcome to Voices of the Festival. I hope you're doing great. Today we are in Ames, Iowa. Look how beautiful this is. Beautiful college town. It's very simple. You can see Iowa State everywhere. And I'm outdoors in a beautiful morning. Here Trey is with us. I'm going to invite him right away. Um, Good. I'm inviting, and he should accept the invitation, and then we are in, and that's it. Um, anyway, we're here with Voice Experience. Hey, Trey.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Can you see me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, and I can see you very well. There you are.
Very good.
Yeah, I was telling them that we're here in Iowa, in Ames, Iowa. Our executive director, Chad Sonka, is faculty here at the University of Iowa State. And because of that, so we have fantastic facilities to do our voice experience workshop. So it's a studio part of our Cheryl Mills programs is the voice experience, and it's happening right in the middle of it. We had almost a week already. Today is a performance of our camp. So everyone that is in Ames, Iowa should come to see the performance of the camp and some of our studio singers. And then Thursday and Friday, we're going to do two performances of the medium and Brigadoon, a short version of Brigadoon, that they will come eventually to Savannah, and everyone in Savannah will see those productions. And we are here with a big studio, and some of them are going to become our studio study grants that will come to Savannah and perform both in Brigadoon and in the medium by Melody. So anyway, that's why we are here in Iowa. And where are you, Trey?
I'm in Philadelphia.
Oh, Philadelphia. And you're originally from Georgia.
Yes, I'm originally from Clarksville, Georgia, which is kind of in the northeast corner of Georgia, up by the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains.
Northeast or northwest?
Northeast.
Oh, there's still mountains there in the northeast.
Yeah, the mountains are a little bit north of me or west of me, but we're kind of in the foothills. So I can get to the mountains pretty fast, but it's still very much mountain country.
And how far are you from Savannah?
A little bit, about 4.5, maybe 5 hours, depending on which way you go. I mean, not so bad. And I've been there a couple times in my youth, and actually during, All-State and things like that growing up, all the big choir things are always in Savannah because it's so gorgeous, and there's so much, there's so many great venues and so many great restaurants. There's so much to do down there.
Great. So are you looking forward to being in Savannah for 2 weeks?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I'm very excited. It's a great place, like I was saying, and also it's nice because I have lots of friends and family in Georgia that I'll get to see, and they'll get to see the show. So that's really exciting. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I didn't know that you were almost a local.
Close enough.
I mean, 4 hours it's far, but actually in the day off you could choose to go and visit your family, and it makes no sense. You just get there at night, you hang out, and then you can come back the next day, and it's so good. I mean, it's very doable, and perhaps your family can come from what's the name of the town again?
Clarksville.
Clarksville?
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, Clarksville. From Clarksville can come and visit Savannah. Savannah, it is gorgeous. It's one of my favorite cities in the country. So pretty, so pretty.
Yeah.
We are very happy to be there regularly every year. In fact, when the pandemic was sad that for 2 years we couldn't go to Savannah at all. So last year when we went back, it was fantastic that we were, back in our home and being this stuff that we like. I mean, doing the stuff that we like to do in the place that we love it. So It's really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm really excited to, we met in Atlanta
Yeah,
and to work together in Savannah. It's really exciting to get to make music in your home state. It's not so common, you
right.
go around and you do things everywhere and it's always a new place, which is fun. But it's so nice to be able to come to where you feel very familiar and get to make music for people you know.
And also, I mean, as Trey says, we met in Atlanta. We were doing Carmen together last year.
Hmm.
Is it last year? Oh, wow.
It's
Yeah, it was
going,
last
isn't
year.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it was last year. It was 2020. No, 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 no,
2020,
no. 2021.
2021. Yep.
2021. But it was a long time. We were there April, May.
Yes.
Um, so from April to May, so almost 2 months, and
Hmm.
and wow, it's a long time ago. It didn't feel
I
that long.
know.
It doesn't feel
I
like it
know.
was that long, but yeah. Anyway, and and now we're going to be doing another show in Georgia,
Yeah.
but Atlanta is much farther than from Clarksville, right?
It's actually in between, so they're kind of in different directions for me. The good news is to go to Savannah, I don't have to go through Atlanta,
Right,
which
right.
is
You
good.
just go down, right?
Yep.
Good, good, good. And are you based in Philadelphia these days?
Yes, my partner goes to Curtis Institute of Music,
Oh wow.
and I live here kind of off and on. And then I had the pleasure of singing some this year. This last year, I sang in New York a little bit, and so I could take the train, which is
Right,
so nice.
right. It is actually not that far. In
No.
2 hours,
Yep.
you can be in New York. So it's
Yes.
very convenient. Right, right. All right. Danielle told me that Danielle Lando told me that you were working with her. So
Yes.
that's fun. Good, good,
No,
good.
we had a great time.
And so from Clarksville, how long did you live in Clarksville?
I lived in Clarksville from the time that I was like 10 until I was 18, and I moved
Oh,
out and went
so
to because
you were not born in Clarksville.
no, I wasn't born in Georgia. Actually, I was born in Illinois. I lived there till I was 6, and then when I was 6, we moved to Forsyth County, which is more of a suburb of Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And then we moved to Clarksville. But I mean, I really consider myself a Clarksvillian, or it's Habersham County. So I really consider myself mostly of that
Right.
that
It's funny
that
you
cloth.
mentioned all those names that are very, very normal in Savannah, Haversham and Forsyth. I mean,
Yeah.
but they're not. They're not. I mean, you were not talking about Savannah, but there are Savannah names,
Hmm.
Forsyth and Haversham. They're big streets there and the park, and
Ah,
so Haversham County. That's where Clarksville is.
yes, yes.
Good. So and yeah, understandable because you were there from 8 to 18. So that's the forming years. So
Exactly. I went wherever you go to high school, you go to middle school. It's also where I got all my musical training.
how do you talk
Um,
about that? How do you start with music?
yeah. So my next door neighbor basically came over and invited us to audition for a community theater show, which was a Christmas show for children. So we went and we auditioned and I sang, and the man who was doing the community theater show actually had a small career in opera, but he went to IU, Indiana University, and really loved opera. And even at 11 or so, when I was 11, he said, "You have a real voice, like you are a real singer." And I didn't care.
At 11 already.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I mean, a soprano, but
Yeah. But
yeah.
loud.
But yeah. And he was like, you have this voice, and I'd always loved to sing, but I was never taking that very seriously. And basically, I kept doing shows in the theater because it was so fun. Me and all my friends would do it. My next door neighbor was a good friend of mine. And funny story about him. My next door neighbor, actually, who invited me to go to the community theater, he has been nominated for a Grammy.
Oh wow.
Yes, his name is John, and it's a different story, but he's a piano player, and he was nominated for a Grammy. So it's kind of funny now that we're both still doing music. But
Right.
So I did all that, and I remember I wanted to enter a talent show, and I went to the choir teacher, and he said that he would only help me like with my music if I joined the choir. So that's how I joined the choir. And I got a voice teacher. My mom was kind of interested in me studying voice, and I was interested in voice a little bit. So I started studying with a teacher, and she did.
How old were you then?
15.
Okay. Have you changed the voice already, or?
Kind of. Yeah, kind of in the middle of it. Always a tenor, but I still had a very high voice. And then I wanted to be an engineer. I wanted to go to Georgia Tech. And I applied to a couple schools for singing as well. And I basically got a scholarship to go to a school in Rome, Georgia called Shorter.
Okay.
And although I didn't get into tech, I got into a couple other schools, and I decided that, if I don't like singing, then I'll just stop because I'm on a scholarship, so, I'll be fine. And I got to school, and I started to like it more, and I started to sing in operas, and then I started to find the greats of the past, Corelli and Gedda and Björling and Bergonzi and all these people, and it really changed me into a deep love of opera. And so ever since then, I've kind of been going down the opera road. But I started in theater.
Great, but actually you started quite young, already doing kind of opera. I mean, of course, it was theater and you were musical, but as a kid, but that's pretty early for to do it. So that's great because already when you were a kid, you were doing musicals and you like singing and you were aware what opera was. Actually, that's not very normal. A lot of people don't know what opera is at all. I mean, and in America, a lot of people know what musicals are.
Yeah.
Coming from a country, from Argentina, that we know what opera is in a way, but don't really know opera. And the first opera I ever saw was when I was 17. But I wasn't interested in opera or singing until I was 21. So that's pretty big. Although I was doing piano since I was a kid, but you were with the opera and the singing right away. Yeah.
No, I always wanted to put on a show.
Great. And I assume we were always tall since we were a kid.
Yeah, I was always very tall. I was never the tall. It was funny because when I graduated high school, for instance, I was never the tallest person.
Oh, wow, that's a tall class.
But then, I was, 6'4" or so, which is tall, but not tall. And then in college, I just kept growing.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. But now I'm 6'8".
Oh, wow. All right. That's
so,
cool.
Yeah, it's very fun. The tall sopranos like it, and I love when I stand next to a tall bass because I get the good posture for singing. A lot of times I'm bad about leaning over, but you gotta get up and get the chest open.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, you're a very good actor, so I can see that it will naturally try to communicate at a level of your partner. So
thank you.
It's good that when you have and this cast is going to be very tall.
Oh, hallelujah.
Elizabeth is also very, very tall, and I don't know if you work with Federico de Michelis.
Yes, I worked with Fede before.
All right, so he's not as tall as you, but he's tall. So
he's tall. Yes.
Yeah.
No, I'm super excited. I never met Elizabeth, but I'm very excited to get to sing with Fede, and we've done a couple things before, but mostly he was singing a role and I was covering, and maybe I did a rehearsal or something, but I don't think we've actually been in anything together, so this will be very exciting.
Right. Where did you work together?
Houston Grand Opera. We were both members of the Houston Grand Opera studio, although we didn't overlap. I believe that his last year was the year before my first year. I think. Yes. But, Fede is a staple of Houston Grand, and he's there quite a bit. And so I would see him a lot.
Great.
I think he was living in Houston while I was in the studio as well. I'm not sure if he still lives there.
He still
But,
lives in Houston. Yeah,
oh
he
yeah.
still lives in Houston. Yeah. So they liked him for a while, and when he came from Spain, he moved to Houston for the studio, and he stayed there and married there, and so he still lives there. So yes, he does a lot of things with them. So if you were there, so and so tell us. So you went for. Did you finish college in singing?
Yes, so I did 4 years at Shorter College in Rome, and then I went to Indiana University where I got my master's and a performance diploma. And Indiana was really kind of where, although Shorter did a lot for me as far as musical training, and I did perform. Indiana is where I started to really get my sea legs because I performed. I started out doing HMS Pinafore, which was very fun. But then I sang Tamino, another very college role. Then I sang Don Jose, and then I sang in the same year Pinkerton and Peter Grimes.
Oh wow!
So it kind of graduated to some really heavy stuff by the end, which was a lot of fun. But it was a big challenge. But the theater at IU is a 2,200 seat theater.
Ooh.
And
Wow.
it's a very high level, and of course there are so many operatic greats there. Sometimes you're singing for Carol Van Est and Tim Noble and my teacher Carlos Montaner, and so there's a very high level. But it was really beneficial to me, not only for the performing, but to get to work with all those people who have such a rich operatic tradition.
Right. Yeah, and. Interesting that you did a very fast grow in the Fach, because you Jose, Pinkerton and Grimes. In any case, I've heard you, so that it makes sense. It makes sense that let's give him Tamino. I mean, that would have, I don't know how you were singing your first year in or your first time there, but that would have been a very hefty Tamino. Easy because you have a very easy top, but you're loud, so you're naturally loud. So so excellence. And how was Peter Grimes? How was doing Peter Grimes?
One of the best experiences, honestly. It's such a tour de force show. I'm so excited that everyone is doing it right now because I'm just glad people get to see it. It's such a bear to put on, not only for the soloists, for everyone. I mean, I'm sure that if you have been conducted the sea interludes, I'm sure that you've looked at them. And it's just for the orchestra, for the tech people, because it's gigantic. And one of the interesting things about it is, even more than something like Carmen, the chorus is integral to the work. And they really kind of cement the work, because Grimes kind of laments by himself and does his own thing. And the chorus does these huge numbers between like everything that happens. Oh man, I love Grimes. I could talk about it forever. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a great piece, and I adore Britain. His commitment to the text and the relationship between text and music. But Grimes was was his almost his first opera. I mean, actually, I think he was his second after Paul Bunyan. But really, he hit the ground running with his operas, and it was early. It's actually quite early for Britain, and but it was huge already and very successful, and always dealing with outcasts, socially outcasts, which was essentially his life mission in a way, just to not personally, but the attitude of dealing with the outcasts. None of his operas are just a love story, so they're always with the social element, all of them.
Yeah.
So and certainly Grimes.
Yes, it's very complicated, and there's not a lot of love really in the show.
Yeah, no, in Grimes. Yeah. And how old were you when you were doing Grimes?
26.
Okay. So young but possible. And how does it feel vocally, because it is loud.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I think that when you're trying to sing big repertoire, if you feel comfortable with your voice, you should just sing. Because trying to put out sound, I'm looking at some Wagner now, and if you can't think about trying to put out sound, or now I need to sing Wagner. You just sing the way you sang because they trusted you with the part. And then maybe every once in a while we really need you to sing more here, or the orchestra. I remember I got to work with Christine Gerke once, and she told me, sometimes it's you against 12 trombones, and you're never going to win. So,
and she can be loud too.
Yeah, right. She knows. She was very helpful
loud,
from an opera star. So she really I carry that idea with me. That like you sing the way you sing healthily. You put out the sound that you can, and then you let other people help you, and you figure it out. Right. The thing about Grimes, though, that you have to be careful about is it's low.
Oh.
Yeah, Grimes is a bit low, and so it's big, but it's a lot of middle, and so you just have to be careful. I do remember that after I finished singing it, I used to sing Puritani and, very high things for competitions. And I remember the week after Grimes closed, I couldn't sing any of that music, any of the bel canto, because Grimes sits so, it's just much lower. It's much more in the tessitura of like Zygmunt or Parsifal or something like that.
I see.
Yeah.
And yeah, right. I mean, I know that he never writes very high for tenors for obvious reasons. He never makes you pass an A flat. I mean,
yeah.
Was there any B's in Grimes?
There's a couple B flats.
Okay. Yeah.
But no B's. No.
Yeah. So, but it's interesting that is very middle, because Peter Pierce will live very comfortable in the passaggio and about from D to A.
Yes.
No higher than that, and actually no lower than that. But it's a kind of a nightmare that he was comfortable there, because that's not where normal people are comfortable.
I know.
So.
Yeah, it's the aria, now the Great Baron Pleiades, where you just hang out on an E natural. That's one of the more difficult things in the show. Trying to figure out, okay, how do I make this quiet and then crescendo and then don't come too much off your voice, but it needs to be falsetto. It takes a while to learn, but man, it is just it's such a great piece of theater.
Yeah, exactly, and of everything, of music, of poetry, and theater. Yeah, I just last weekend did a show with Merola, and we had among big program, it was at the second act of Florencia en el Amazonas, which is also orchestrated fairly thick. And I was telling the singers, you just need to sing the way you do, and then we'll figure it out. Actually, in the first six program, I was telling the singers, if anything, sing a little softer than normal. So the orchestra had to pay attention to you. Otherwise, if you're trying to sing louder than them, they will, let's play. And
absolutely.
And you're not going to win that battle. So because they are 30 and you're 1. So
right.
It's a good, but I mean, that is all fine in your brain. But how does it feel when you are, Pinkerton and you're in the end of Act 1 and you're getting all excited and romantic and how do you control yourself and not push?
You do push.
Better, as Cheryl says, we were having a class with Cheryl, and she said, "Yeah, you should push, but don't force," which is very interesting. He says that not a lot of people will use these words, but in his head, he said, "Yeah, push is okay, force is not okay." I don't know exactly what he means by pushing, but so anyway, but how do you keep yourself in, because you're doing at least full lyric, and I'm sure you're going to go into full spinto and dramatic, and I mean you're saying that you're doing Wagner, and it totally makes sense. How do you feel How do you control yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult, and I think honestly for tenors it's the most difficult of anyone, because I have been in many auditions where you think che geli la manina, you sing the whole aria, and then you get to the C and everyone sits up in their chair. They expect it to be something, and I think that everyone does it different. Some people like to rest and take it easy and save their energy for the performance. I'm someone who I really like to sing a lot, and I like to find the physicality, because when you're on stage and the makeup's there and the costume's there and maybe you're in a different city, all that kind of stuff, the thing that is home base is the sensation of singing.
Mm.
And so that is where I find my home. And also, I think that sometimes when you're on stage and you're getting, worked up, and let's say like Jose, where you're either fighting or in love, deeply in love, you have to be able to physically portray these emotions and make it seem like you are feeling them, while really you don't. And that takes time too, because you want to feel them and you want to be there with the audience, but really it's more about portraying it than it is feeling it. And you can feel nothing and really give a very intense performance of something. And it's much better for the instrument, because in film acting, you can feel it. You can cry, you can, that emotion, it reads. But from 50 feet away in Butterfly, you have to make it to the end of the act. And you need to find a way to keep yourself calm while portraying these emotions, and also musically, always pacing yourself. Okay, well, don't give too much in the first 15 minutes of Butterfly, where it's kind of a scream sesh, because you're on stage for the whole act, and there's the last note out of your mouth is a high C. So, you just have to, it's just about experience and pacing, really.
Okay. Interesting, because that I agree, and that you think that, because it doesn't show in you in your performance. You're a very committed actor, and we did Carmen, which is very dramatic.
Yeah.
The tenor in Don Jose is extremely dramatic, very engaged, very physical, vocally and acting wise, because he's a hot-headed and impulsive and reactive and begs and screams, and so it and you were always from the first rehearsal very engaged, and as you say, you sang most of the rehearsals. I don't remember you marking. I'm sure you did, but I don't remember. And you sang the aria every single time. We were in by the way, everyone, we were in this kind of impossible situation in which the orchestra and I was in one tent, and the singers and the audience was in a different tent, and we were piped in the video, and they will see me in a monitor, and I will hear them just for the monitor, and I see them in a little TV, and expect that we were together, and I think we were pretty together, but it was like a lot of guessing games and just a lot of
yeah, right.
It is what it is.
Right.
We were very happy to be performing in early 2021 anyway, for a live audience. So we were putting up with any situation, but yeah, you were very engaged, and always I never felt that you were saving it. So it's very interesting that you think that way, because you are doing it, and of course vocally works, because you were always very reliable.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, to me, that is what gives me comfort, is that I've done it before, and that because you'll get natural energy from the audience at the show, but it's good on the days, I really don't want to do this, or, oh man, this rehearsal, I'm trying to figure it out. I think for me, it's best to try and sing, because you find new things. Oh, well, how can I get through this? Things like that. Because no one's perfect, and every day there are different challenges as a singer. You don't always wake up feeling crystal clear, you know, and sometimes you have to figure out new things. And for me, the way I do that is through, you know, the rehearsal process. And it's nice sometimes when you get to sing certain things, you know, twice in one rehearsal or something like that.
Great. And you as we said, you are doing full lyric and probably dramatic and sweet tenor, but also you were blessed with very easy high voice. As you said, since the beginning, you always had a very high voice. How high do you sing normally?
I mean, really, these days I pretty much tap out at a C, because everything above that, it also just depends on the repertoire. So, you know, I just sang Traviata in DC, and the C at the end of that cabaletta I did not sing because the rest of the is so high, and my voice likes to sit a little lower than that. I can sing like A flat and A, B flat all day, you know, but in the sostenuto kind of way. But if I sing like that, where it's like punch A, punch A, punch A, punch C, it's a little rough for me. You know, the Faust B's and C's, perfect, because it's much more kind of in the middle for a while. And I've always had a high voice, but as I get a little older, of course, the middle kind of thickens and things get not heavier, but you can't do it the same way that you used to do it when you were 25, you know? So maybe at karaoke I sing like a D or an E flat, but I on stage it's C and below for me now.
Okay, and also the C in Faust is quite unusual. Also, it's first of all it's unusual for the role, but also it comes in the jam, so it's perhaps a little easier because the whole role is fairly middle with a lot of B's, but it's not a high sitting role. It's middle sitting, no low. Actually, it's lovely. It's a middle high with some very successful high notes, and the C, which is the C is unusual in the role. Yeah. But I may actually quite wonder if originally was intended to just to sing falsetto in a way, or that one mix of the French, because it's written piano, it's written soft, in a very soft. So I think they have different expectation at that time, and especially the French composers, how to deal with that registration. But that's a different conversation. Anyway.
Well, also the guy who originally sang Faust, he sang. It's so fascinating to look at what these people sang. He was the original Contori.
Oh.
And he was the original, La Juive.
I see.
And it's so funny, these days, if you said, oh, I sing Contori, La Juive, and Faust, people would look at you like you're a crazy person.
Yeah. It's like if you had done Tamino, Pinkerton, and Peter Grimes in 3 years, right? It's like, what?
And I think at one time, those were all on my repertoire list, and I think people were kind of like, okay. You know, but I think you just do what fits your voice.
But also it's understandable because you were doing your masters and you were finding your voice. So it's not that you've been doing Taminos since then.
Right. No, I've done no Tamino since then.
I would imagine. Yeah. I mean, not that you cannot do it because again, it's not high. It's just it will be a big Tamino. And I'm sure actually probably still not hard for you.
No, I mean, I would love to do it. It's just not really what people are interested in me doing. When they hear me, they have other ideas.
You are able to do things now that less people are able to. So that's always good. Yeah. That's a good combination of things. Oh, you can do that. Okay, so we're looking for that. And so when are you doing your Wagner? Will be your first Wagner?
Yes. So I'm actually, well, no. My first Wagner was at Houston Grand Opera. I sang Steuermann.
Oh, perfect.
And this next year, I'm actually doing 3 Wagner pieces. I will sing Siegmund with Virginia Opera in September and October. Then I will sing Steuermann at the Met.
Congratulations! It will
Thank
be
you
your
very
Met
much. I'm
debut.
excited. My Met debut was last year. I sang First Armored Man and Magic Flute.
Oh,
But this year will be my principal role debut. So I will be singing Steuermann, and then I will go sing Eric in Dutchman at Santa Fe Opera next summer.
oh, wow! Congratulations!
Thank you.
Well, that's
So a lot
exciting,
of Wagner.
right?
A lot of Wagner.
Good. Wow, wow, wow. That's good. That's good. And yeah, I mean, once you work on Wagner, it's just so fascinating. Him as a composer, and I don't know as a singer, but as a conductor, is very much of a pleasure. As you can imagine, it's just
It's so different than Faust or something, like learning Faust, because once you've learned a couple things in the, let's say, like middle of the century Germanic harmony repertoire, you know what's going to happen. Harmonically, your brain kind of knows, or you do, half of Faust, and then you see, oh, he really likes the tritone and these recits, he does this a lot. But in Wagner, oh my gosh, it's so different. And then it's two pages of do 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 do, and then you just go do 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 do, and then you're much more orchestral.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have 2 pages of rest, and you're like, am I supposed to count this?
Right.
Where in Faust, when she stops singing, you start singing. It's a little bit more simple in a beautiful way.
Right. Yeah. There's I don't know if predictable, but there's a pattern, and with Wagner, there's always a surprise, and
Yes.
But it's also fascinating, and it's just so beautiful and very different. Yeah, I imagine as a singer, singing Wagner, which is, it's not, you don't sing the tune. So
Exactly. That's the best way to put
compared
it.
with Puccini, that's totally different. I mean, in Puccini, yeah, you sing along with the tune
Yes.
most of the time, unless you're an ensemble. But with Wagner, it's like, no, you're just moving around it in a way. So it's quite different. But I'm glad that you already done Steuermann, and to go to the Met and do it with a role that you have done already is great. And Sigmund is fun because actually that's not high for you.
No, it's not too bad.
And it's a good warm up for the Wagner experience.
Yes, it is. It's a great one. It'll be my first Zygmunt, and it's a great way to learn the piece. And I get to tour around Virginia, which is going to be a lot of fun.
When are you in Virginia? Because I'll be doing Bohème in Virginia with Williamsburg up to I think the 12th, September 12th.
I'll be in Norfolk, I think. I'll already be there. Yeah.
All right,
but we'll catch up.
We'll
just meet each other.
Yeah. It will be. I mean, we'll see a lot of each other in 2 weeks. So.
Yes, we will.
And what of all? I mean, and then you said that you after Indiana, you went to Houston.
Yeah.
How long were you there?
I was there for 3 years.
Good. How was that experience?
Oh, amazing. I mean, that's where I learned how to become a professional opera singer, for sure. There's so many things about opera that in school, you're just trying to sing better. And that's real, you're trying to get into these programs. But at HGO, I learned about language. I learned about movement and acting and how to be good, how to look good on stage, and, how to present your materials correctly, how to advertise yourself, which is so important. The kind of stuff that I really never wanted to do, getting a good headshot, getting multiple good photos for your website, all this stuff that, it matters. It really does. And when you present your package to people, not just your repertoire, but you as a package as an artist, how to do that and make yourself look the right way, and that's on top of course, fantastic vocal training, fantastic coaching, learning a bunch of roles. I learned a ton of roles while I was there, some of which I hope to sing one day, and some of which, were just fun for the time and kind of an experience at the time. So, I mean, it was exactly what I needed.
Great. And 3 years, that's good. What
Yes.
was your one of the memorable productions in your time in Houston?
Well, funny enough, I sang Alma Viva in Barber of Seville there.
Okay.
And I sang
not in the main
outdoor. They do outdoor productions.
Right.
And I sang the outdoor productions. And that's very memorable just because it was my first time like singing a coloratura role. But then also, I must say, probably the best was, I was at HBO the year that Harvey hit Houston, and so it was a really rough year. We performed all our operas in the convention center the year before, and then so Dutchman was the very first role. The Steuermann was the very first role that I did in the theater at HBO, and it was just. It is very memorable to me. I had a great time. I worked with Tomer. Tomer was the director of that. And I'll just never forget how happy everyone was to be back in the theater, including me.
Great. Good. And are there other productions that are especially memorable? I mean, in a young career like yours?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Yanupa at Santa Fe was kind of my birth into principal singing. It was my first principal role in anything.
Assume in Czech?
Yes, in Czech.
Oh, wow.
I sang Steva in Janufa out there. And that was, it's different when you sing these, teen things or something, or you do like a cover run. Of course, there's a pressure, but when it's your job, this is your whole job is to get out there and sing and really put it out there. You have to figure out how you're going to deal with that stress. And so that was kind of how I learned how to talk to myself and get myself ready for singing the role, and of course, Santa Fe is gorgeous. So it was a very, very fun summer.
Yeah, I wish that they are Sunday and Monday. Howard was there. He's working in Santa Fe this year, so I just visit because I've never been to Santa Fe, and after Maryland, I stopped before coming to Iowa, and it is beautiful. It's really
incredible out there,
and the setup, the facilities, everything is really great.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite unusual, the place, and very special. Good. And I'm glad that you're going back for more Wagner. I mean,
yeah.
Hopefully, once you start in your Wagner streak, people tend to rehire Wagner singers a lot. So
yeah,
that's a great. Any future in Europe right now, or
not really? No, I've just started. Just hopes. I've just started doing some of these competitions. I will go to Operalia in October, which is in Latvia. And I've sung a couple other competitions. I was most recently in Poland for the Monusco competition. So, just trying to sing for these people and get my name in the hat, and trying to figure out, what the next steps are, and hopefully trying to get over to Europe soon.
Great. And do you have a manager internationally or just American?
Yeah, right now? I have an international manager, Matthew Horner.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, so he certainly is able to sell you in Europe, and that's great. I mean, if you're doing Met and Santa Fe this year already, that's just pretty impressive calling cards right there.
Yeah, I'm a pretty lucky guy.
That should be easy. Great. And tell us about Faust. It will be your first Faust, right?
It will be my first Faust. I've done some scenes from Faust. We talked about the musical or the vocal kind of how it works, and it's honestly a very nice sing for Faust. He sings a lot. He sings a little bit more than I thought. I mean, his name's on the front of the book, but I was surprised. But I think that Faust is it's two guys, and I think that as I've been kind of thinking about the role, once he becomes young and in love, it's kind of simple because we know what it's like to be young and in love and have that feeling. And the more difficult thing is the beginning, where he's old and very bitter, and he's given up on life and trying to find, not all of us are desperate enough to sell our soul. And when we think about that these days, when we think about selling our soul, we think about, selling out or doing something like that, but the old sense of these people who are very religious and that kind of gave themselves up fully to renounce, God and when this was written in the 1500s, you did not do that, So that's the fascinating thing to me, and then the rest of it, I think, kind of speaks for itself. The music, just it's so good. Of course, the end I've heard, the aria I've heard, the garden scene, but just some of the music with Marguerite is gorgeous.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the duet, the duet in the second act is of course fantastic. I adore the duet with Mephistopheles in the prologue,
So awesome.
really fun, and the process is so well done and everything, and of course the final trio is
it's so good.
For a reason it's a pleaser, but it just works so well. Interesting how the focus of the piece switched in a way from you to her in the middle, and then it's almost like a 30-30-30 at the end. I think we the three of you are very, very essential to the story, and but of course it's all through the eyes and the perspective of Faust. In a way, Margarita, what we know of Margarita is kind of on the point of view of Faust, or how you imagine her more than what she really is. In a way, I mean, it's all possible. And compare this with Jose, that is about the same time. How very different, right?
Very different. Yes. I mean, it's a lot like the first.
Talk about more of the vocality or the
yeah. So the first two acts of Jose are a lot like Faust, but then there's not much like Act 3 or Act 4 of Carmen in Faust. There's right at the beginning, actually, that first little curse that he does when he calls Satan. That's kind of the most dramatic thing in the show for him. Dramatically written for the voice, I mean.
Right.
Everything else is much more lyric, but that beginning scene before Satan comes, that's probably the biggest, the most dramatic. But, I like Faust because, like you were saying earlier, it's a lot of middle, and it lends itself to good singing. Sometimes things just feel good when you sing them, and there are difficult parts, but it really feels very comfortable. And Jose, I think the other thing is, it's so married to the physical. Jose, there's just this thing going on inside of him that he's got to get it out, and he's gonna sing it, he's gonna fight it, he's gonna do all kinds of stuff. Whereas Faust is much more reflective and far more. He's dealing with a different set of circumstances.
Sure, but I mean, good point. Jose is going to what we will imagine a verismo approach to theater is, while Faust never leaves the formal elegance of a very well behaved, no matter what your situation, your character musically and dramatically is. All of them are very well behaved. There's a poise to it. There's a control. There's a proper behavior. No one just give in
Right.
emotions in a way that Carmen and then the Verismo will go, right? So
Yeah, and in fact,
in a way, it's a bit like Alfredo, the very dramatic but never Verismo.
right. No, in fact, at the end, you know, he's kind of the one who's trying to calm her down, of course, because she's gone mad. And he still has his wits about him and is, you know, trying to help her. Whereas at the end of Carmen, of course, Jose is not trying to help anybody.
Right. Yeah. He's not successful in any aspect. Great. Trey, thank you so much. As we're going to wrap up, any parting words, any greetings to the Savannah that is looking forward to meeting you?
Yes, I'm super excited to meet everyone in Savannah, and please, if you see me, we said I'm 6'8". You know I stick out, so please come say hi. If you want to chat opera, I'm always excited to do that, and I'm so looking forward to getting to be down there with y'all and share this experience and see some old friends and make some new music.
You have friends living in Savannah?
I do.
Oh wow, that's fantastic.
I have a very good old friend that I'm very excited to see, one of my old college buddies.
Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, and it's great that even if it's a different part of the state, still the same state. So that feels like home. Of
it
sorts.
does.
And hopefully we'll have a lot of family members that will come by. And
I got a lot of folks coming.
It's a good excuse to be in Savannah. I mean, just a great place to be anyway. And as you say, great hotels, great. We have actually a hotel rate for guests in the Thompson Hotel. It's a fantastic new hotel in downtown Savannah, and we have a special rate that actually is quite nice for such a almost 5-star hotel. So we'll let you know about it. And everyone, whoever wants to use that opportunity. Anyway, so thank you so much for being with us. I had to move from the sun because it's just hitting me. Anyway, but thank you. I'm looking forward. I will see you in 2 weeks, actually.
Yes, maestro.
So thank you. And everyone, thank you for joining us. And I will see you next week. We'll hear more of the voices of the festival. Thank you. Bye, Trey.
Thank you all. Bye.